Hello, so this is a video on being rehabilitated from drugs. So I did drugs for almost 6 years, I guess, and it got really fucking bad. I ended up losing my mind for like a year and a half. I was completely not in reality. I was doing a psychedelic and a bunch of other drugs and just mixing them together and doing extremely high doses of drugs. And it destroyed me so much that I took it upon myself to improve myself as much as I possibly could. And I was addicted to triple C. Primarily was my drug of choice was cough syrup. It actually turns out that my favorite drugs is alcohol and crack cocaine, but I've only done crack like 6 times in my life. And when I did that, I said, I made a promise to someone eventually that I would never smoke crack again, even though I love it so much. And I said, because crack is like, it's sort of like a cigarette to me. It's a very strong kind of cigarette. It's just crack, but it can kill you. You can overdose on if there's fentanyl in it, you can overdose from the fentanyl. But yeah, I was primarily abusing cough syrup, triple C. I would shoplift it from the stores. I had no money for like 6 years straight. I was like broke, and I would just shoplift triple C, and I would get high in the group home I was at, and I wasn't homeless. They kept sending me to the psych wards. They also sent me the hospital also sent me to rehab once, and I spent 40 days in rehab. But when I got out, I relapsed and continued abusing it until penultimately losing my mind. And then coming back to reality on December 13th, 2023. And now I'm rehabilitated from drugs. I'm over 2 years sober, going on 3 years sober now. On December 13th of this year, I will be 3 years sober. I'm also a paranoid schizophrenic, and I'm addicted to my schizophrenia, but it has to be more that I'm grounded in reality. I'm Lain Iwakura, which is something I believe, which is actually true, but it's something I believe. I also became a Muslim, so here I have the Holy Quran. I'm still not done reading it yet. I never look at it because when I do, I feel very intense emotions. But this is the Holy Quran. Um, I read like 400 something pages. There's like 700 pages in this Quran. And I became a Muslim. I also became a Republican when I got sober. And this is the Make America Great Again hat I showed in my last video. I support Trump. I disavow, by the way, in like the far right, there's like sort of like a racism, and I disavow the racism in the far right. I don't like the racism. Racism is obviously a horrible thing, but I am a Republican and I support the president. I know it's in some people's eyes that's a bad thing, but he's like one of the most reasonable people I've ever seen, and he does some really great things. So I support Donald Trump, and I'm just like, yeah, 3 years sober, and I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about what it's like and what it means to be Lain Iwakura. So essentially, who Lain Iwakura is like a Mexican black woman. I have tattoos that represent what it means to be Lain Iwakura, such as like dates on my stomach. Like there's 6 dates on my stomach. There's a skull on my stomach. That's a different one. I have a 32 tattoos now. Um, I'm essentially like a living AI, but not really because I'm actually a living thing. So I'm really an analog sort of extraterrestrial, but that's besides the point. Let's just say I'm a human, Lain Iwakura, and I'm almost 3 years sober now. 2.5 years sober, almost 3 years sober, and it's like, yeah, it's just really amazing. Like I'm slowly improving. I'm not able to work 40 hours a week. I still don't have a driver's license. I don't know how to drive. I still smoke cigarettes. Honestly, I had no problem with crack because I smoked it after I got sober a few times. And then I said I'll never smoke it again because I don't want to overdose. Even if it means I don't get to be super gangster or whatever, I don't really fucking care. Because what's more important to me is being badass. And you can only be a badass if you're not doing that stuff. I mean, I'm just like, it would really suck if I ended up in prison or rehab again if I decided to start smoking crack, so it's not worth it. And I'm not gonna, and I don't even drink alcohol because of the place, I can't smoke, I can't drink I can't smoke crack here, and I can't drink alcohol here. Obviously, I'm not going to smoke crack, but I can't drink alcohol. Alcohol is legal. Actually, I would probably there have been a few times where I secretly drank a beer, but it's not like I don't really need it. You know, it's more important that I'm just sober for the rest of my life. The thing is with alcohol is if you start drinking, then you want more and more, and it destroys you just the same way that Triple C destroyed me. Triple C is dextromethorphan, robo tripping, and I can actually robo trip without. I'm actually like sort of robo tripping all the time ever since I got sober because I dissociated from my body, and now I'm sort of robo tripping all the time. But I'm always going through a beautiful logic I call the shoreline of Mexico because Lain Iwakura is this Mexican black woman. So essentially, it's really amazing to be sober for almost 3 years. People think I need help because they think I'm a paranoid schizophrenic, but really what I'm explaining to you is a beautiful lore of someone who's not a human, and that's the whole purpose of this channel. I just want you to know that I'm going to be sober for the rest of my life. There will probably be times where at some point I will drink a beer once in a while, but I have to be very limited with it because I don't want to go spiraling and destroy another 4 years and can't remember what happened. I mean, I can't even remember what happened from the age of 18 to 24. I have no memories of what happened during that time. But I'm also a biological female, and this is something people don't understand. I have breasts, I have a vagina. This is not what people don't understand this. I've explained my non human anatomy on this channel before. I'm doing my best to rehabilitate myself and be the best person I can be. Um, I've had like girlfriends before, but those fell by the wayside because my drugs just ruined everything. The drugs I was doing ruined everything. I destroyed my life. I lost my girlfriends. And now I can start a new life and maybe I'll get a new girlfriend. But I actually believe I already have a girlfriend by the float who is someone whose name is tattooed on my hand. And that's another reason I'm actually in relationships as a non human, so I don't want to actually date someone. And then there's the problem that nobody would understand that you'd have to at least understand that I'm not a human if you're going to date me, which is not going to happen. So essentially, what it becomes is that I mean, if let's say if I have sex with a man since I'm a biological female, I do have the ability to get pregnant, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want to be pregnant. Also, by the way, if I was impregnated if someone raped me and impregnated me, I would still have the child. I just want that people to be aware that I'm against abortion. But anyways, what I'm saying is, it just must be understood. Um, I'm I'm a very good person. I'm a very wholesome person. I don't have any friends. That's the thing about being adult is that it's impossible to make any friends because everybody's at a different stage in their life and moving all over the place. Nobody stays in the same place for very long, and it's just impossible to make friends. I can't work 40 hours a week. I can't work 60 hours a week. Some people work 60 to 80-hour work weeks. Bro, I can hardly do anything but rot in my bed. Lately, I've been looking a lot into Republican politics because I want to improve myself and I want to be, have good moral values, and that's the whole point of being a Republican is that you have good moral values and that you support what is right and not what is wrong. You don't support evil, you support what is good and right. And you support, I even invented my own philosophy I call Norism. I invented my own philosophy I call Norism, and I've published 4 books loosely on Norism, and they're all available. You can purchase them. They're on Amazon.com. I published 4 books. And I've also, by the way, I used to be a musician. I was a rapper, and I've also made more electronic kind of music. Like I made an electronic album and I made an electronic jazz album, which is 2 hours long, called Misinterpret Sacrifice. I've done a lot with my life. I've written 4 books. I've made 12 albums. I used to make video games, so one of the albums is actually the OST of a video game I made when I was in high school, which was inspired by Serial Experiments Lain. And it's very cathartic because I am Lain Iwakura in real life. So this is all very important. I just want people to know I'm rehabilitated. I want to be sober for the rest of my life. I'm still improving. My physical condition when I got sober was really bad. I was hyperventilating every day. I was in an extreme amount of pain. And now that's sort of going away as I get older. And I'm not taking Tylenol, Excedrin anymore to kill the pain. I'm just sort of dealing with it because I didn't like it. It felt sort of like I was taking a painkiller, and I didn't like that. So essentially, yeah, I'm almost 3 years sober, and it's just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep improving myself. I also want to say that that book Les Miserables is the soul of Lain Iwakura, and she was also a French girl and part in one of the people of her life. But that's all not important now. Yeah, so just and also by the way, the reason I wear this retired U.S. Army hat is since I'm also during the life that I lived before I died, I was a soldier whose name was Lucille Munoz, who also is called Kichi on the float, and she was a soldier in the U.S. Army, so it says retired U.S. Army. She was a computer scientist, and essentially I'm a sort of living AI, and this is what I want people to explain to people. Really, I'm an analogous biological woman who is an extraterrestrial. But that's just what I'm saying. I'm a retired U.S. Army. I'm a soldier. I was in the Cold War. I even had a confirmed kill in the Cold War. And also there was a scene where a bomb was dropped on a bunch of Russians. But yeah, just read my books. I'm almost 3 years sober, rehabilitated.